Hello everyone. We are indoors today because I'm waiting for a killing frost to come through and make all my plants go dormant so I can finally store them where they're supposed to be over winter. But also, obviously, as we get further into winter, more of my time will be spent indoors. I do have a lot of things garden related that I do over winter that I'll share, like getting organized, buying seeds, garden planning, all that fun stuff. But if there's anything in particular you would like to see over the winter, let me know. But what we're going to do today is something I have been thinking about doing for a while, and that is taking some of the herbs from my garden and making herbal sugars and herbal salts. What I'm going to make today are 3 different herbal sugars and then just one kind of all the herbs I like mixed together salt. The sugars will mostly be used by me, usually for my teas, but there's also a lot of good recipes that you can just substitute regular sugar with an herbal sugar to give a different flavor to whatever it is that you're making. The salt will likely be used by both me and my husband in cooking. So for the sugars, I've decided to use chocolate mint. This is by far my most used herb. I make chocolate mint tea all the time. And I thought having a chocolate mint sugar to maybe mix with, like I have a chai tea, a chocolate chai tea, I have a dark chocolate tea, and then there's another one that I can't remember. But I think I will get a lot of use out of this also on oatmeal in the winter. I think this will be really good. Then I was going to, so I know I wanted to make a fruity one. So I was going to use my pineapple sage because I would say that is the fruity herb I use the most. But then I was cleaning up the mess of all my dried flowers and herbs on the wall, and I was vacuuming up what was on the ground, and all of a sudden this delicious lemon aroma went into my nose, and I realized that the heat of the vacuum sucking up all of the leaves of the fallen lemon basil was the delicious smell. So I'm going to make a very, hopefully, lemon flavored sugar. Again, this one I don't think I'll probably use a lot of in the winter in my tea, but as we get into like spring and summer, I can see myself adding a little bit of lemon sugar to my teas. But of course, if I want to make a lemony flavored baked good, then I can substitute that. Now, I'm kind of cheating on the 3rd flavored sugar I'm making because I'm making a lavender one, but I did not grow this lavender in my garden. I purchased it. I think I tried growing lavender once and had like an okay time, but I love the flavor and the smell of lavender. So I got some culinary lavender. Do make sure if you're buying anything, any sort of herbs online, that they are labeled edible or culinary so that you know you are getting something that you can actually ingest. So I just have a Ziploc baggie of this, and I'm also going to make a lavender sugar, which I think is going to be delicious. I'm 100% using that over winter. I actually really like the combination of chocolate and lavender together, so I'll probably also use this in any chocolate flavored teas. Ooh, chocolate chai tea with lavender sugar. Sounds delicious. Maybe I'll make that today. So this is what I'm going to do with this bag. And then for the salts, I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm going to go through kind of where I have all of my herbs stored, and then I'll mix them with the salt and make something that we can use in cooking. So here I have Himalayan pink salt. I don't think I'm going to use this right now, but I will use it at some point. I have granulated sugar. I have just fine sea salt. I have these herbs, the herbs I didn't grow. I have this tiny little blender. So I haven't used this much yet. I tried it once, but it's one that you plug in and it charges. And since when I'm doing stuff on this table, I don't really want to have to worry about getting an extension cord and plugging that into the wall. I got this, so we're going to see how many times I can get this to run before I have to recharge it. Hopefully it makes it through what I need to use it for today. And then I have my jars, which I'm just pulling from jars I have collected. This is, I'm assuming, an old jam jar. This is going to be used for the salt. And then I have these jars, which I did get a pack of these. This is what I've used in the past for little floral lanterns. So tea light candles in here. I'll link that video down below, but we will definitely be making some more this winter. But I'm going to use these for my sugars because the sugars, you don't have to care about how things look. It makes me happy when I think things look pretty, but I like the look of these jars, and these sugars are going to be stored with my tea. And I'll put in a picture of that because I think my tea storage area looks really pretty too. So I want to make my sugar storage look pretty, and I'll probably put some cute labels or twine on them or something too. But first, we have to make our sugars. Now, there are a bunch of different measurements online that you can try. I'm just kind of going to eyeball it and then taste test along the way and see if I need to add more or less of the herbs, more or less of the sugar, and that way I can make it to my preference. So I could follow a rule specifically, but I feel like everything is gonna be so different just based on your personal taste. For example, I know the lemon balm, I want very lemony sugar, probably a little bit more lemony than the average person would want. So again, I'm just gonna eyeball it, but the general process is put in your herbs into the blender first. So maybe I'll do the lemon balm first. I think that'll be fun. We'll do lemon balm in here. I'm gonna chop it up so it's really small. And then I'll put the sugar in, chop that up together. And then if you want it to be a little bit more granular, you can add some more of the granulated sugar in after. So if you want some of those larger granules, in case what you blend gets too fine, you can add in the sugar. Same thing with the salt as well. So let's go ahead and do this. I am so excited. I've made some blends before, but I've never made like the lemon balm or the chocolate mint. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. Now I'm just gonna use the jar that it's going to go in to measure. And of course, when I chop all of this up, it's going to get even smaller. Now the lemon balm, when you just kind of smell it on its own, it's not incredibly lemony. It's kind of more just like earthy, but as soon as you crush it up, which again was what my vacuum was doing, the scent of like a lemon sour candy is a lemon head. Yeah, like a lemon head or lemon pledge, even though that probably doesn't sound as appetizing, just immediately comes out. So let's see how this is. Now what I'm gonna do is put it in here, and I will plan to fill this halfway. I'm probably gonna do 50-50, if not maybe a little more, but because I know I want this one to be a bit more herb heavy, I'm gonna start with more herbs than I probably will for the chocolate mint or the lavender. That's good, so we'll dump this in here. Put the lid back on. And there's not a ton of different like blending options on this. I think you either get blend or pulse and that's it. But let's see. I think it's kind of cool. I should probably set it down while I'm doing it. But I like the idea that I can do this and kind of just take this wherever. But again, seeing how long the charge stays for. I can smell the lemon already. Okay, let's take this off. So after pouring the blended up lemon balm into this jar, you can see what was a half full jar of lemon balm leaves is now, what, an 1/8 full jar of it blended. I will say, even though this does blend, it probably doesn't make it as fine as a higher quality blender, but this is gonna be perfect for what I need. So I'm just gonna add a bit more lemon balm into the blender. It smells so good in here right now. And also, I always think, oh, I have so many herbs because I have jarfuls, but you can see how quickly I go through a jar. When I'm making tea, I use probably about a teaspoon to a tablespoon, depending on if I'm mixing teas or just using one at a time. So it does go pretty quickly. For the sugars, I believe, well, I read both 6 months to a year, but I won't probably have any of these left in 6 months because of how often I do make tea and use these. So we'll see. Okay, I think, you know what, I'm gonna stick with this for now, and then maybe I won't fill the jar all the way. So I'm gonna dump now everything back in, all of the crushed herbs. Now I will add in the sugar. So I'm gonna use this jar again and kind of just get it, like I said, about half and half to where I think the herbs came to. And then I'll add it into the blender. And I would start off, like if you're nervous about adding too many herbs, I would start off with a less amount and then just add it as you go along. I can tell with this little blender that it doesn't seem to mix it all together as much as a larger blender, so I'm gonna shake it a little bit and blend some more. Is this how you're supposed to use it? I have no idea, but it's working to mix it all together. I made a funnel with a piece of notebook paper because I'm in a work with what I have mood, but I'm gonna pour this now back into the jar and give it a taste test. Still smells just as lemony as before. Now again, I'm the only one who's going to be using this, so I don't care if I stick my finger in it to give it a little test. It's good. It's lemony. I think I want more lemony. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of the lemon balm in here. That's what I wanted. I want it to basically be like I'm eating a lemon head. And I do feel like, even though this smells like a lemon head, when you crush it up, and if I was just to like put some of the crushed up herbs and lick it, it does taste good, but not like it does when it's mixed with sugar. So I'm really excited for this. I should be able to tell all of these apart because they should look different, but just in case, I'm gonna put this on that until I label them all. Let's do chocolate mint next. Now, you should probably completely wash in between. I will probably only wash in between the sugars and the salts. So I'm just gonna go dump this out and then we'll make the chocolate mint sugar. I did end up giving this a quick wipe down. This part does come off of the base. So I just wiped it off to get some of the powdery residue left from the lemon balm sugar. Now let's do some chocolate mint, which I'm very excited about. I don't know why I just went to sniff the empty jar. There's nothing in here. But I think this one will probably, again, be one of my most used. I can see myself using this not in tea, maybe a little bit more than the other ones, just because like I feel like wintertime is the perfect time for chocolate mint. So I'm just gonna do a full jar, starting off knowing how much the lemon balm condensed after it was blended. Pour this in here. All right, now for the sugar. I'm actually gonna do a higher ratio, like I said, I think of the herbs to sugar, but obviously the sugar particles are already quite small. So I'm gonna try this ratio. Again, I'm eyeballing it. How much did I add? I don't know, a jar and then like a third of a jar of that specific size jar. But to me that always, oh, I can smell this one too. To me, that always just works out better when I'm mixing things together like this. Not if you're actually baking something, but if you're just making mixes. Same thing with teas. If I'm mixing like 2 or 3 together, I will just, if I think I want a little bit more chocolate compared to banana mint, I'll just put in a little bit more chocolate. I don't actually specifically measure any of that. Oh, that's right, with this one, gotta do a little shake with the blender to blend it together. I feel like you shouldn't have to do this with the blender, but it's still working. Pouring this now into the jar and we'll give it a taste test. Ooh. Yes. Yes. Okay, so as much as the sugar brought out some of the flavor of the lemon balm to make it taste more like lemon head, it even brought out the flavor even more somehow. Like I feel like the chocolate and mint have become more potent. This is delicious. And our last sugar is going to be the lavender sugar. Now, in my experience, I feel like lavender can easily overpower the flavor or scent of something, even when it's mixed with something else. So like with the herbs where I feel like I put in more herbs than I did sugar, I'm probably gonna hold back a little bit on the lavender and then slowly add to it because I feel like this might be just a bit more potent, but let's give it a sniff. I love lavender so much. My favorite thing, well, one of my favorite things to do in the summer is to go up the coast of Michigan and stop by all of the lavender farms if we happen to time our trip correctly. Obviously, blending something up releases more of the scent, but that definitely released more scent than the other 2 herbs. So I think my assumption that it'll be more potent was correct. So I'm gonna do a little bit more sugar, blend them together, and then see if I like it or if I wanna add more of either of them. All right, let's see. This is perfect for me. So these are my 3 sugars. Now I'm gonna make the salt next. I'm trying to think if I should make a cup of tea in between and maybe try out one of these sugars. And also I am going to rinse this and let it dry a little bit before I make my salt. All right, I am back and I am ready to make my herbal salt. I'm gonna use probably the herbs I'd say I use the most anyway in cooking, but thyme, rosemary, and oregano. Probably go pretty even on each of them at first, and then of course adjust to taste. And I also made a cup of tea that is too hot to sip on right now, but I will try that out in a second with some of the lavender sugar. So let's go ahead, and I feel like I don't have that much of this thyme left. So add in roughly a similar amount of rosemary. And there are measuring guides along here if you want to use them, but I prefer my eyeballs. Okay. And we will do oregano. Next we'll add the salt, going for roughly 50-50. Smells delicious. I'm getting a good amount of salt, good amount of oregano. I feel like I want a little bit more of the thyme and rosemary, so I might actually just finish up that. That's good. Oh, I'm excited about this too. And it smells, I don't know if this is probably mostly the rosemary, but I swear this just smells like a winter roast or something like that. So have all these. I'm going to clean up a bit and then we'll get everything labeled. And I'll try some of my tea with the sugar. I'm gonna taste test the tea first. That way I can sip on it as I label. But this is a mix of chocolate chai, Belgium chocolate tea, 50-50. Then I put in, after it's brewed and steeped, I put in probably a teaspoon, maybe a little bit less, of cacao powder and oat milk. So this is kind of it without sugar. Still delicious. So good. I get the chai tea, the chocolate chai tea and the Belgian chai tea from a spice shop in Starved Rock where we try to go once a year. I think it's just called like the Utica Spice Co. However, we didn't look up what days they were open last time. And we drove by on a day they were not open. I think she said she does orders online as well, so I'm gonna have to contact them, but I've never had better chocolate chai tea. I don't know where they get it from, but it's delicious. So what I'm gonna do now, I usually will say I'll have my tea without sugar anyway, but just to add some more flavors, I'm excited to see just how a little bit of this does. Maybe a little more. Now the sugar will dissolve, the herbs probably won't. So if you don't like bits of things in your drinks, you might not like this. I used to be that way when I would drink just regular tea from tea bags that I had, but then when I switched over to herbal teas, and sometimes some of the herbs would get through the filter that I have, and it kind of creeped me out at first, but now I don't mind it, although orange juice with pulp, I still do not like. All right, let's see this with the lavender sugar. Somehow, I don't know how, somehow the lavender sugar made it taste more like I was drinking hot chocolate in a very delicious way. Like it just added, I have no idea what it added. And not just sugar. It's not like I put sugar in this. The lavender flavor plus the sugar makes this taste like hot chocolate, and this is so good. All right, so I will sip on that as we label. With the salt, this is just gonna go in our pantry, so I'm not gonna make it anything fancy. I'm just gonna use some Scotch tape. And I think I have a pen in here somewhere. So I'm just gonna write herbal salt. I'm gonna put the date, which I'll just put the month and the year, 11/24. And then I'm just gonna write R, O, and T so that I know I put rosemary, oregano, and thyme. Will I remember that from just the first letters? We shall see. But I didn't want to write every single thing all out on here. So I'm just going to stick that on there. And again, what I could find online as far as how good these will store for in an airtight container, anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. I almost think well, it depends on what we make. If we just use this as we would regular salt, we'll probably take longer to get through this than I will with my sugars, so we'll see how long this lasts, but that's why I put the date on there. And now for you guys, which I think I can tell you enough apart now to not get you mixed up, I'm gonna use cute little labels that I have and some twine. Maybe just like that, and then that way when they're sitting on the shelf, I can read the label. So I'm gonna put the name on the front, I will put the date on the back, just so I have that. You know, I guess with the size of these jars, the label could be a bit smaller, but I actually don't mind that. So I'm going to tie that like that, and then make a little bow. Look how cute that is. Oh, I'm so excited to use this over winter. Another reason why I just love using my teas over the winter is because I'm using the herbs that I grew in the garden that previous year, and so I still have memories of the garden while I'm drinking my teas. So it's always nice to kind of get me through the winter, eagerly awaiting for next year's garden to have that. I really enjoy it. And here they all are. My 3 sugars, my 1 salt. Let's have another sip of tea. That was so easy to do. I'm for sure probably gonna make sugars with all of my herbs that I have enough of that make sense to be turned into sugar. I definitely wanna try the pineapple sage. What other ones do I wanna try? I think I probably have enough apple mint. Oh, I have plenty of basil mint, which has a nice citrusy taste. So I'll probably make one with that as well. But this is what I have so far. So if you have dried herbs and you want to do something a little special with your sugar and salt, definitely try to make some of these. Again, that blender I got is okay. It works for what I need it to, but you probably have something a bit more powerful. But I am so excited. So I'm going to go put these on my tea rack, and I cannot wait to enjoy them through the rest of winter. Let me know what else you do with your dried herbs, because I need more ideas to keep me entertained over the winter. So let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Now, if you want a quick, completely unrelated story, I got my Invisalign, I think about 3 months ago, and I think I have 3 more months to go, and I switch out my retainers every week. And, well, are they retainers? Whatever these trays are, I switch them out every week. And one of the things that they told me on my first appointment was definitely take them out when you eat so you can chew. If you're drinking like something that if you're drinking water or a clear sort of liquid or relatively clear liquid, you should be fine. I've been okay with the tea if I put milk in them not staining it. They specifically mentioned though certain kinds of teas. And so I was really good about not drinking anything but like water and tea that I made sure wouldn't stain. And then one day I decided to just drink a beet and carrot juice with this in. Luckily it was a Saturday because I switched mine out on Monday, but when they tell you they stain, they stain. Mine were orange for the day and a half that I had to continue wearing them. Luckily I didn't have anything important to do, but just a fun story I thought I'd share. Oh, and if you just want an update, I can definitely tell when I look in the mirror that things are changing, but I can also tell when I bite down that things are changing. So the original reason they put me on Invisalign is because when I bit down, only my front teeth touched and not my back, and that is bad for your teeth. So I can tell now when I chew that things are just lined up in a different position. So yeah, fun little unrelated story. I'm gonna go enjoy my tea now.